Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of TalentED. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Skanson, and today we have a truly inspiring guest joining us. Andrew Marotta is the Director of Communications and Academic Services in Port Jervis, New York, where he recently transitioned from a 20-year tenure as a principal and assistant principal. He's a husband, a father, adjunct professor of school leadership, former Division I men's college basketball official, speaker, author. This is a guy that does it all. He's also the leader of the Surviving and Thriving movement, known for he's got energy, enthusiasm, a significant impact on those he serves. And he's here today to share his insights on thriving in education, balancing these multiple roles, and making a lasting impact. So with that introduction, welcome to the show, Andrew. So happy to have you here.
Hey, Rick, happy to be with you, my friend.
There we go. Tell us where you're talking to us from today and what you've been up to.
Yeah, in the office today, Port Jervis, New York, Eric. Honored to be here. Honored to kind of connect with you and the work you're doing at School Pro. Great group of people, and to be in the mix there, it's very honoring and humbling. So, but like you said, I'm a school leader, 20 years here in Port. We have moved Port Jervis forward. We're a small city right on the border of New York, New Jersey, and PA, literally right on the border. So I could throw a rock to Pennsylvania, which is where I live. So, but proud to have served here. Our graduation rate used to be in the 60s 20 years ago. Nobody really cared. Kids went to the factory. It was fine. We know that we can't survive like that, right? We want to thrive. We're almost at 90 now, and so many good things moving forward, and I'm happy to carry the banner for Port Jervis schools.
That's an amazing increase, 60 to 90.
A lot of hard work. You know that doesn't come easy.
That does not come easy, and it doesn't happen fast. I think everybody wants these fast results, but it really takes time in an organization to make the long-term changes. And I think you're a great example of that. Let's get into some questions for you. So number one, you have had an impressive career as a school leader, and now in your role as Director of Communications, Academic Services. Can you share some key strategies that you've used not just to survive, but also thrive in such demanding roles?
Yeah, thank you, Eric. And you say career, I call it a journey, right? We're on a journey, and there's not an end, right? We didn't stop working hard when we hit 90. We didn't stop working hard when we cleared up the smoking. It's a journey, and I think it's a few things, Eric. Number one, you got to take care of yourself along the journey. This job as a principal, it can eat you up. Are you drinking water? Are you wearing comfortable shoes? Do you have lunch? Are you reducing your stress? People think they'll do that at another time. You have to do that constantly and consistently during the journey. Number two, I think you have to have a clear vision. If you can't articulate and model and show and demonstrate and come back to where you're trying to go, where we're trying to go, people aren't, are they going to get on board? Like you said, it takes time. But I was persistent with talking about what we're trying to do, who we're trying to become, the things we're trying to do here in Port Jervis, how we want to treat the kids. We treat them like they're our own, because they are. I think that is so important, that the vision continually gets articulated. And then you got to be visible. You got to inspect what you expect. One of the best things I did, Eric, I got a mobile desk. I got my desk in the hallway. Yeah, I do some stuff in the office, but from 7 to 3, I'm in the hall. I got my computer. I'm out there. I'm talking to kids. I'm talking to parents. I need to call somebody and something's happening. I'm doing it right there in the hallway. I think you got to be visible. You got to be in classrooms. You got to know people's names. You got to know when people's dog died. You got to be going to the community events. I'm all in here at Port, and people know, they know if you're all in versus you get in your car at 3 o'clock and they never see or hear from you again. I'm on Port Jervis Facebook. I'm connected, and I think it's important that we're visible. You're invested. You're connected, and So I would recommend those three things to move us forward, surviving and thriving.
Well, I like what you started with, because you got to take care of yourself first, right? Like, there's a reason that Mama Bear eats the berries before the baby bear, because if Mama Bear's dead, then everybody's gone, right? Um, so I love that point that you start with that.
Oh yeah.
And number two, you're out in the hallways, you're visible, you're part of it, right? You're not hidden in an office, because people want to know you're there. So that's impressive. Did you roll with a generator too, or did you have a long tether, man?
I know where the outlets are, man. I know how to get, people got me connected, but I got to be out there. Here's an example, Eric, right? You and I are friends, we're casual together, but the kids would say, hey, Marotta, yo, Marotta. And other adults would correct them. Hey, that's Mr. Marotta to you. They show respect. Just the fact the kid is saying, hey, Marotta, instead of, hey, F you, hey, you stink.
Right.
To me, that's a connection, right? There's a connection there. I didn't need to be called Mr. Marotta. I'm there. The kid saw me. High five. Yo, Marotta, what's up? I think the fact that they say that just there, I'm there. I know their name. I'm connected with them. It just builds so much there. So I remember that. I wrote a blog called Hey Marotta. And if they're saying F you, maybe that's not so good. But the fact that they're acknowledging you, connecting with you, talking with you, it's a home run.
I love that energy that comes with interacting with students too. Like we all came here for the same reason. We love education. We love connecting with kids. And then some reason we get into the administrative part of it, and we forget that that's where the energy comes from. That's where the passion comes from. So to just embed yourself right in the middle of that is simply amazing. Let's talk a little bit about your energy and enthusiasm. It is central to your approach. How do you maintain these qualities day in and day out, especially when you're facing the challenges of educational leadership?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I got this hanging behind me, Eric. Right?
Love
I want to live. I want to live by these. These are my motto, my logo, the 5 E's here. You don't need a degree to have these. You don't got to be the smartest person in the room. But I think when you show up with energy and enthusiasm, it goes a long way. It's a choice to me. When I get out of that car, I could put a frown on my face, a smile. It's a choice. I want to show up for Port schools. I want to show up for my kids. You have to talk to yourself, Eric, more than you listen to yourself. Because if you listen to yourself, sorry, I'm working on being more organized. If I don't put it back now. If you listen to yourself, well, you say, I'm tired. Oh, I got cursed out yesterday. And, I'm not talking to any kids today. Or someone, spit on my shoes yesterday. Like if you listen to yourself, I think it's important that you talk to yourself, that you have a windshield wiper mentality, that today's a new day. And I'm going to show up with a smile. I live, Eric, by the 5 SWs. Sometimes it will. Sometimes it won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Stick with it. That will help get you through this journey. And I think it's a choice how you show up. Energy, enthusiasm doesn't cost anything. It's attractive to other people. It's contagious, and people like it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see how this translates. So you've been in Division I men's college basketball official while being a school principal. Tell us about the influence from one to the other, from the other to the one. Like how did these influence your leadership style and your ability to handle pressure in both situations?
Love it. Love that question. Love talking about officiating. Sometimes I look back, I don't know how the heck I did it, but really, Eric, they canceled each other out, the stresses. If I finished school and I drove 2 hours to a game, when we threw the ball up, I wasn't thinking about school. I wasn't thinking about my faculty meeting. I wasn't thinking about that parent that yelled at me. I might have been on the phone with 5 parents on the way to the game, right? I might have talked to text. multiple memos that I was going to clean up the next day. But during the game, I wasn't thinking about them. Now I drive back, I rest, hydrate, boom, up again. At 8 o'clock, I'm not thinking about the travel call I missed. I'm not thinking about the push that maybe, was it a foul, was it not? I'm not pontificating on it. I've moved on and I'm back at school. It forced me to focus where my feet are. But if you think about it, Eric, you're in the spotlight, the two jobs. You think about the two jobs. You're in the spotlight. You have to enforce the rules. You have to look a certain part. You have to have presence. And then you have to enforce the rules, even when sometimes people don't like, and you got to deal with that they don't like your decision. And sometimes they're very vocal. Sometimes they're quite offensive. Sometimes they're disrespectful. And you got to learn to navigate through that to finish the game, to finish the school day, finish the school week, and show up for the next one and do a better job. Not thinking about, oh, this person insulted me or this and that. It's a journey. It's every day's a new day. Not everything you're going to do is perfect. You're going to get judged. You're in the arena. I love the speech by Teddy Roosevelt. Well, I was literally in the arena with 20,000. Helped me be a better principal because I got thick skin. It helped me deal with mistakes. I like to make a mistake. My bad, coach. My bad. You apologize. You admit it. You fix it and move on. So they really helped me, each other.
I mean, I just want to go on the record here and say that as a ref, are you telling me that you reflect on the calls that you did not get right?
Oh my God, Eric, we know it. You know it. I could go back in the game. 14:02 first half, 16:02 second. You know it. I'm thinking about it. I absolutely know it. They're in slow motion. They're embedded.
Yeah.
I've made thousands of calls. I can tell you everyone I've got wrong. Absolutely.
So for the record, refs are not stone cold. They think about the mistakes.
It bothers them more than it bothers the fans or the coach.
Yeah,
they want to get it right. They want to get it right.
For sure. Let's talk about surviving and thriving movement that you have started. So it's inspired many. Core principles or actions that educators can take to ensure that they're thriving in their roles. Yeah, I know you talked about some things in the first question I threw you today, but core principles, it sounds like reflection might be part of it. It might be, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You are the man here. So tell us, what are the core principles?
Yeah, I mean, we just went over it. I mean, they're here. The excellence, the effort, the extra effort, all going back to excellent. You want to be excellent at your job. Your kids deserve that. Your schools deserve that. Your staff deserves that. The school takes on the personality of the principal. And when you're excellent, things are going to happen. You sprinkle in persistent, consistent, clear vision. Again, modeling self-care, taking care of yourself. You show up, you haven't slept, your shirt's untucked, you haven't shaved, you look out of whack. Well, that's contagious. People see that. I think all those things that we talked about already go into that. But I live and die by these, Eric, so much. I got it here. I got my short sleeve on, so I'm going to show you. I got it. And I lived those principles, but I took those words off. If you could see, these are my kids' names and my wife's names. So I lived those principles through that AM logo. But I also remember what's most important is my family, the people that I serve first, my family, and my job is quickly behind. But I don't forget what's most important to me. So much I got it tattooed on my arm.
I think it's interesting when you think about surviving and thriving. You really need them both, right? Like if you're just surviving, it's guaranteed you're not thriving. Like we all know educators, administrators who simply come in and survive every day. They go home, they're miserable, they drag things back and forth. But if you look at the flip side of that, there are many principals who are thriving, but I would say that they're not surviving. They're not taking care of themselves. They're burning out. Their candle is burning both ends. It's burning hot. They got a limited shelf life. So this is really about longevity in making sure that you are both surviving and thriving. what are your thoughts on that? I know, do you need them both?
I love that question. I love that topic, Eric. Sounds like you're going to be a participant in one of my next books, because one of the next books is called Surviving Blank Thriving. And I'm going to ask participants to put in there, what is that? What is it for them? And I have right? I have in there. I don't think, you could really get to that point of thriving until you go through those hard times, until you do it, right? I made a lot of bad calls reffing, and I learned what that felt like, what that looked like, what it sounded like, the boos, the coach going crazy, the kid I called a foul on for their fifth foul that wasn't. It was wrong. Now he's out of the game. I see the team starting to crumble, and they lose the game, and now the coach gets fired. Well, what happened if they won that game? What happens if I didn't blow it away? So I learned. You learn from those mistakes. Same thing happened as a principal. You know how you felt when you didn't eat or drink water. You know how you felt when you wore bad shoes. I got to take care of myself. You know how you felt when you hired that teacher who you put in the classroom, who's disrespectful to kids or not good. You hired him. Well, you better learn to do a better job next time, or you ain't going to be around long, because you're making those decisions. So yes, it's a yin and yang, and you definitely learn to thrive by surviving.
You know what I love about our profession, and maybe you can help me fill in the blanks here, but there's not many professions that have seasons, right? So like athletes, professional athletes, they have a season. It opens, it closes. Farmers have a season. It opens, it closes. And every year we have a chance to be better than the year before. To learn from our mistakes. It's not this continual drawing out. We actually get to go over and do a reset every single year.
Yeah.
And I don't know, can you think of any other professions where they have that ability to iterate every single year?
Yeah, I don't think about other people. I think about us as educators. And someone said this to me once, Andrew, don't work 20 years in Port Jervis. Work every year, but you could do it 20 times, because every year is its own individual thing, its own spot. So I made every year different. I made every year fresh. I came up with a theme every year. What were our rallying points? What are our points of emphasis? Different logos, different sayings, different quotes, different model shirts, all of those things to make each year special and independent. Yeah, I think it's important that you don't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and hope for improvement. Every year is its own individual performance, as you said, season.
Let's talk about some of your books. You have a lot of books. You've authored several of them. I want to talk about HATS, Heartfelt Acts for Teachers, Staff, Students, and the message that you have in there. Talk to us about HATS.
Yeah, I'm blessed, Eric. I got ADD. It's a superpower, not a disability. My mind's always ticking. I'm always kind of doodling and writing down notes and ideas, right? You mentioned energy and enthusiasm. Well, look at that. What do you see, Eric? There's a logo. Here's a bunch of points about energy and enthusiasm. It's on the donation envelope from church. I was a little bored. Please forgive me. But I'm always ticking. So I'm on a I'm on a Twitter chat. Jay Billy is there. Jay Billy's a principal from New Jersey. The question is, hey, what are some special things that you do for your staff and students at school? I knew that Jay would wear a different hat every day when the bus arrived. He'd wear a sombrero, a cowboy hat, a helmet, a winter hat, a baseball hat, whatever, every day on dismissal and arrival of the buses. So Jay was out there. So I wrote, my friend Jay Billy, I wrote that he does that. And then it just kind of stuck with me. It percolated a little bit, right? HATS, wow, HATS, yeah, he does that, cool. Is that an acronym? Could that be an acronym? How is it? And then it just kind of came to me. John Gordon calls them downloads. It came to me, Heartfelt Acts for Teachers, Students, and Staff. And we included Brian McCann from Massachusetts here. But there, the three of us are on the cover wearing different hats. And Jay wrote the introduction. which was why he did that intentional act to make an impact on kids. So the book is all about intentional things that all of us can do, staff, students, people around the school, parents, intentional acts that have a heartfelt impact on our schools. And I love it. They're simple, they're fun things. One of them is like the word messages on the fences, right? We all have the plastic cups. You get them in your school color. You can write the words on there. So many different things about Jay Billy writes tag. He played an activity during the day with staff where you play tag, not just run around tapping people, but there's a formula that goes with it. So different people from around the country wrote about handwritten notes. People wrote different excerpts. So shadowing a student. I think shadowing a student all day is a heartfelt act because it gives you perspective on the life of a student. That was, to me, one of the best things I ever did. So a lot of short little excerpts about cool, cheap, fun, impactful things that you could do to impact, kids in your school.
Well, and let's be honest, it doesn't only impact the kids and the staff. It brings you energy, right? It puts you in a spot of creativity, of giving. And if you want to add fuel to your survive and thrive, like get out there, do some fun things. And honestly, sometimes it's going to be a fail.
Yeah.
Sometimes people look at you like, what is he doing? That's ridiculous. Fine, do something else the next day. Like
you do the fence message, right? You post a great message on your fence and you take a picture of it and you put it on your school's Facebook. And now you get all positive comments. You are going to feel good. That's going to create endorphins for you. That's going to create confidence for you to go and do the next thing. Maybe the next one's a fun video. We did a snow day video this year here in Port Jervis. Phenomenal. We had a teacher call a principal who called this one, who called that one, who eventually called a kindergarten class. And the kindergarten class called the superintendent. We did this all ahead of time. And the superintendent said, when the kindergarten kids ask for a snow day, you got it. Hey, Port Jervis schools, wear clothes today. Enjoy the snow. And we pushed that out, Eric. I stopped looking after 10,000. I mean, it went crazy. It was awesome. It was a heartfelt act for teachers, students, and staff.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
Let's move into Andrew and get to know Andrew on a different level. Number one, I'm gonna see if I can get my wife to say Eric like you do. Eric.
Eric.
I love I love that. Andrew, if you could have dinner, this is a classic cliche line here, but like tell us who do you want to have dinner with? Historical figure, who would you want to sit at the table with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an Italian from New York, Eric. I want to eat, but dinner's a sacred time, right? Family, friends. Number one, I lost my dad early. My dad was 66. That was I don't know, 16 years ago, I guess. I'd love to have a dinner with my dad now and have him meet my his grandchildren and talk to me about parenting. I'd love that. But historical figure, being a principal, you're making decisions people aren't happy with. Sometimes there could be conflict, and maybe you're trying to make change. Maybe you're trying to change a culture. I would go back to Abraham Lincoln. I mean, you talk about trying to change a culture and people rising up against you, and so the slavery, all of that. But then also his resiliency. He lost so many elections, Eric. I mean, so many, like I can't count how many he lost, dealt with depression, but was resilient through it all, kept showing up, the 5 SWs. I would love to hear about how and the struggles and keep showing up and that positive message. I mean, I've been to DC a lot. When you read his speech in the wall at the Lincoln Memorial, my God. But I'd love to have dinner with Lincoln, see if he takes out the wooden teeth, or that might be Washington.
What would you eat?
Italian, of course. I mean, is there any other?
Favorite Italian dish? Like what? Because
I like the. I lived in Italy for a year, Eric. I mean, I lived. It was great. It was phenomenal. A small town in Tuscany. So the fresh Italian, we'd start with a little appetizer. Again, not a giant bowl of chips and 20 wings like we do here. Fresh, small, and then a small helping of homemade pasta, maybe some gnocchi. Again, fresh cheese on there, some basil, and then delicious meat, small portions, highly spiced.
Mhm.
I love sharing small plates. I love tapas type meals, things like that. Me and you and our wives go out to eat. We're sharing plates. I like that type of meal.
Well, what you need to understand about me is where I grew up, spice meant salt and pepper. Black spice. There was nothing crazier than that.
Yeah, I like the rosemary and all that cilantro and Italian seasonings. Yeah.
And now I can't get enough. Like I'm like flavor, flavor, flavor. Like as an adult, bring it in. Give us a surprise here. What is one hobby or interest that you have that might surprise us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm dialed in. Certainly, what I'm doing, it's always on my mind. I'm always doing that. I do enjoy woodworking. One of my favorite classes in college was ornithology. I love walking on the beach, looking at the birds. I love walking in the woods, looking at the birds. I know the calls. I know the types. My wife's like, you don't remember anything. You remember that that's a red-winged blackbird? Well, yeah, of course, I find that very soothing and calming. I like to tinker too. That creative outlet of writing and again the books and all that. But I enjoy that kind of woodworking and making benches and little garden type things like that. Yeah.
Sounds like you got to stay busy.
My father-in-law says, ain't no grass growing under those feet.
Well, if you could instantly acquire one new skill or talent, what are you going to put in your bag?
I always wanted to play the guitar. I never was musically inclined. I love like open mic nights where people get up there and acoustically play. I love Kenny Chesney and Eric Church. But I'd love to fly. I fly a lot when I go speak, things like that. But I'd love to, hang glide or paraglide or I was in Oregon, on the coast of Oregon, and I watched a guy run and like he like jumped into the air and he was, on one of them hang gliders. It was like, oh my God.
You would do it? You would jump off a cliff with a thing? You'd
I
work
was
your way.
I was intrigued by it. But I've always going back to the birds. I look at the flight. I went to college in North Carolina. The Wright brothers, the first flight flying intrigues me. I think it's amazing that I could get on a plane and a few hours later be somewhere else. I'd love to fly. I'd love to be able to fly and glide and all of that.
Well, maybe start with the guitar before you jump off the cliff on with some wing, okay? Let's move on here. Let's kind of wrap this thing up. Andrew, your journey and insights are incredibly inspiring. You've been all over. You doodle on napkins, envelopes. It's just constantly flowing. For anybody who's listening today who want to learn more about your work or bring your message to the organizations, what advice do you have for them? Give them a nugget of truth.
I think you got to enjoy the journey, Eric. I think you have to invest in yourself. If you're not growing and getting better, what are you modeling? What are you showing? You got to really work at it. I go to bed early, Eric, and I get up early. I invest in myself first to be my best version of me that I can help serve others. And it goes with savers. You ready? If you're watching this, write them down. Savers. I got this book from the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. You do those 6 things every day. They're called savers. Silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. You do those 6 things every day. You're gonna be on your way, doing things you want to do, creating that vision, being the leader that you can be, creating the time to do it. people ask me, Andrew, how do you get all these things done? I say I get up early, and I have a list and I have a timer. We're being timed right now. I know I'm probably going too long, Eric, but I get that stuff done in the morning, so then I could go about and do my job and do my day and serve my people and be the person that I want to be.
Great advice, Andrew. It has been a pleasure speaking with you today, and I hope everybody listens and takes care of themselves and finds their own journey in surviving and thriving, right? Here's what I'll say. That brings us to another enlightening episode of TalentED, and you've shared, again, those strategies for thriving in education, maintaining a positive presence, balancing multiple roles with grace and resilience. So again, just thank you so much for sharing that with us. And for those that are looking to learn more or book Andrew for a speaking engagement, you can visit his website, www.andrewmarotta.com. You can get a hold of School Pro. We'd be happy to get you connected as well. And with that, everybody, I'm just going to remember to stay connected, and for more great content and opportunities, and elevate your educational leadership. And as always, I want you to stay PKS, which is positive, kind, and supportive. Thanks, everybody.